Howdy folks, this is Trader Big T with your trading lesson of today. I'd like to talk to you about the live call that I made in the Tim Alerts chat room on SQNM. This was a stock that was also in my watchers of the previous night. The stock experienced some trouble with some bad news on after hours the night before, and as you can see, it opened way down, gapping way down here. And this kind of situation often leads to some interesting trading opportunities to trade a massive gap down long on momentum. And the amazing thing is it doesn't really matter too much what the fundamentals say. Stock can really get beaten down hard and can still have bargain hunting idiots come in to try to buy it temporarily. It usually doesn't last, and we're going to see that with SQNM. It was way over here in like the 770s the night before, and it opens clear down here in the 6s. And as you can see from a 5-minute chart here, from the beginning, there's still a lot of panic and uncertainty. Really high wave sticks on here. You can see these shadows, and you see that there's this kind of aggressive action by people who are playing the market on the stock, trying to get out, and then eventually some buyers start to come in, and the stock just zooms up. And here's some 5-minute candles that you can see. Let's actually switch to a one-day chart, and let's draw the chart, and let's go back, and you can see here a little better representation of the 5-minute chart, and you can see that eventually this momentum towards the downside stops and the upward momentum comes in, the buyers come in, and you get this nice bounce. And I had called this live in the chat room not very much after this last stick here. I was pretty much in, because I could see that momentum had started to shift and some of this volume was picking up towards the green side. Some of the things that you try to do is you try to look to see if you can get a higher close on one of the sticks as it's going up, and that can kind of give you some important cues that it's starting to change. You're going to get that burst forward for that long play. But timing it exactly is pretty hard. You can't precisely time it, and you don't want to just jump out afraid that it's going to go down a lot more. It usually doesn't. It stabilizes after the first several minutes, and the bounce usually happens within the first 5 to 15, 17 minutes of the play, and then it's usually over by mid-morning. And the interesting part is that when it reaches back up, and some investors are glad that they can get out with some sort of life, since they've lost a lot of money if they were holding from the previous night as regular investors, the stock then eventually collapses down on a typical pattern, and not only does it reach down, eventually collapse, and see the previous lows, but it often exceeds them. And on future days, for several weeks afterwards of a dead cat bounce, it usually often happens that the stock ends up trading even lower. So this is a day trade. This is not something that you want to hold for a long term. It's just strictly a day trade. But it can be very profitable, as you can see on my call today on SQNM. You should join us in Tim Alerts chat. Very nice room. We've got some excellent moderation and a few really good traders there that make calls and answer private messages. So, you really should check us out there. You should, when you play a play like this, recognize that the fundamentals don't really matter. It is just a quick momentum trade that you can actually make. That's just based on how the market tends to operate in these kinds of plays. XNPT, I believe, was another play that was just like this, that was played a few weeks ago, where there was some massive long side action that followed a massive gap down. And that stock kind of beat the odds, because I think it is trading actually higher, and that's not usually the case after a number of weeks. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this interesting play that I called live in the chat room and called the night before SQNM. And until next time, we'll see y'all in the trenches, folks, as you learn to trade with Big T.